We are live once again, Thursday mornings, 8 a.m. in the Circle Leadership Headquarters studio. Today, one of my favorite subjects, they're all kind of my favorites, just like your kids, like you can't openly admit which one's your favorite. But this is certainly a topic that is near and dear to my heart, and that is about how to become a coach, not a boss. This thing is really important when you think about the future of leadership and the future of work, which is really the present of leadership and the present of work. People want coaches, not bosses. So there's a really important session we're going to go through today. I'm going to run through some of the reasons as to why you should become a coach, not a boss. And then we'll flip to the whiteboard as always. And I'm going to show you how to actually move into a coaching role and how to start actually coaching your people instead of bossing them. So let us switch quickly over. Let's get straight into it. Become a coach, not a boss. Now, I appreciate boss is a term of endearment in many organizations. I still have people refer to me from back in my days in banking and finance. Please don't hold that against me. As hey boss, how you going? And it was really a term of endearment. So, like a boss or a boss is a term of endearment. We're not referring to that. It's when we look at things and we are very directive as a boss. Let's go into it. We'll discover more as we get into it. First thing to understand, though, please, is that this whole session is built on the premise about our definition of leadership. And leadership to us is all about helping other people become the best version of themselves so they can do their life's best work while in your care and beyond. And please understand, when you look at that definition, nowhere in there does it say you actually need a position or title to demonstrate leadership. Also, when you think about while in your care and beyond, that means I care about you as a human being first, an employee second. So it's really important to understand from a leadership point of view, A, anyone can demonstrate leadership. B, it's about human first, employee second. And creating a culture where everybody's lifting everybody up. So at any stage, anybody could be a coach, as a matter of fact. And just because you are the positional leader doesn't mean you're the best person to coach that team on its particular thing that you're working through. So keep all these things in mind as you go through this. So what's the difference between a coach and a boss? We're going to cover that in this session, and we're going to look at that for sure. And then the other thing we're going to look at is why you should become a coach, not a boss. Now, one of the most popular business books of all time was this one here, From Good to Great by Jim Collins. And my good friend Rob Shepard from Quantum HR he's a big Jim Collins fan. I think Jim Collins is number one, Dave Clear is number two, he will tell you, but he's a big Jim Collins fan. And this is where this all came from, is we were talking about From Good to Great. And Rob and I were discussing it. I said, if you want to take your organization from good to great, what inside your organization needs to go from good to great for the business to go from good to great? And as you can see, Jim Collins alludes to here is that great visions without great people is irrelevant. So we need to take our people from good to great in order for the organization to go from good to great. Well, it's really important then to understand, based on that premise, that you can't boss somebody into greatness. So if there's any fundamental reason as to why you should become a coach, not a boss, it's that particular reason right there. If you want your organization to go from good to great, you need to help your team to do that. If you tie that back to the definition of leadership about helping other people become the best version of themselves to do their life's best work while in your care and beyond, you can't boss somebody into greatness. This is the fundamental reason why you should become a coach, not a boss. Now, when you think about what's the difference between coaches and bosses, I'll just go through some fundamental, simple ones. And if anybody has anything, what's up, coach? Not much, coach. What's up with you? Everyone's a coach in our team. We always like to joke that Jordan is the boss, but she's also a great coach in her own right in terms of coaching Lisa and I to stay focused and on track. The difference between coaches and bosses. So a boss, as you can see, this is probably an over-exaggeration, but it's more directive and telling. The fundamental difference between a boss and a coach is a boss will be directing and telling you and making demands of you. It doesn't have to be in an angry tone. Whereas a coach is more supportive and asking and helping you to become and get the answer out of you rather than trying to put the answer into you. And I'll show you how that happens in a moment. So if you just understand from a fundamental point of view, you can almost separate the two as the difference between leadership and management, where leadership's more an art and about helping those people to become their best, and management's more about the science and resources and time and energy and money and things like that, and remembering that humans are not a resource. So when you look at bosses are directive and telling, coaches are supportive and asking. Okay, so move into, I've done this with a few of our clients. I said, if 80% of the stuff that's falling out of your mouth is in the shape of a question, you're bossing people. It's all right to give some sense of directions, and something that Lisa does extremely well when you're making a transition in from being a boss to a coach is the natural tendency is to want to give direction. So turn the direction into a question, turn the instruction into a question, and ask the person that there. So it's a transition from wanting to give someone an instruction, but do it in a way where it's a question where they have to answer that, which is a great transition. So we're going to show you a bit more of that in a moment. But it's really important to understand that the difference between the two. Now, fundamentally, when we're talking with leaders, this is the first question that we ask them when we think about, where they're at. And it's, I wish my people would. So when you think about that for a moment, what do you wish your people would? Now, as you're thinking through that, most of the answers we get would be around this. I wish my people would think for themselves. I wish my people would be more accountable. I wish my people would use initiative. I wish my people would, just do what needs to be done. I wish my people would make decisions. I wish my people would. And actually, Lisa just put another great question. I wonder if it's possible if, which is a great thing to turn that instruction into a question. Like I said, Lisa does extremely well in that space when working with people. It's probably why she's a great leadership coach. So I wish my people would. So what are the things you wish your people would? Then the next question we like to ask is, what do you keep having to do then as a consequence of that? Well, I keep having to make all the decisions myself. I have to keep doing the thinking for both of us. I keep having to just take on the work myself. I keep having to hold them to account. I have to keep telling them over and over and over again what to keep doing. Please understand that the reason you keep having to do those things is because you're allowing those things to happen. Because when you keep telling people and what to do and how to do it and things like that, they're not going to be using the parts of their brain where they would use initiative, that they will question, that they will make decisions, they will do these things because you're doing it for them. So you've created this problem for yourself because you're in a boss position rather than a coach position. So when you're trying to put all this into them instead of a coach trying to pull it out of them, it's a critical difference. So it's really important to remember that the reason you keep having to do that is because you keep allowing that to do. And the reason why people aren't doing what you want them to do is because you keep doing these things. So we're going to jump to the whiteboard in a second. I'm going to run through you the whole process of human behavior and how to do some coaching. But what we're going to end up leaving you with is the ability to this. So if you want this template, down in the bottom below, just put #coach-not-boss, and we'll send you this. One of our clients asked us, he said, and let me just make this bigger screen for you. Hey, Dave, can you help us dump your coaching brain onto a spreadsheet so we know how we can practice asking questions? So we have this coaching questions template available for you, #coach-not-boss, down below. And basically you can look at, is this situation across the top there, is it a present situation? Is it a future thing? Is it an intent or motivation based? Is it about process or is it about accountability? And then you can go down the list and go, is it a who, what, where, when, why, and how question? So you could be dealing with a situation and you could be talking to that person and go, well, hang on, who does this currently impact? What needs to happen? Where do you see this going? Why is this happening now? Who is responsible? When will it be fixed? So these are all just simple. And if you notice this, like asking questions doesn't have to be long-winded, drawn-out questions. Very simple, very sharp, open-ended questions that will create dialogue for you with the person. So this tool will be available to you to get access to, just #coach-not-boss. All right. So I wanted to share that with you as we look at that. Now I'm going to actually switch though to the whiteboard, because I know you're all dying to work out how to do this. So here we go. So let's just jump straight onto the whiteboard here. So when you think about this here, coaching someone, becoming a coach, not a boss. Lisa said, this is printed in A3 color and laminated on my wall at home, a key resource to keep in front of your face. This one and our decision-making process, put them next to your company's roadmap. Yes, absolutely. Thanks for the plug on the roadmap and the decision-making filter, Lisa. But the whole point reason we did these is so you can put them up in your workspace, in your home office, wherever you need to put them, print them out, put them up there. Here's a decision-making filter. Here's a coaching questions template. Here's that. That's why we've created these tools for you, so you can have those accessible for you to be able to use straight away. So you can prepare yourself for the conversation. And especially if you're going to have a coaching conversation, you can start to prepare yourself with those questions there that are available to you. So let's talk about this now from a behavioral point of view, and we'll wrap this up in the next 5 minutes. So just getting back to human behavior, of course, okay, so success, let's just look at where we are at the moment. So success, however we choose to define that, has come from our results. Those results are the things that we have accomplished in our lives. And we know those results have come from the way we've behaved. So we've taken these actions, which have caused us to get these results and this picture of success that we may or may not be enjoying in life right now. Now, what we know about human behavior for the past couple hundred years of basic psychology and written by the Greek philosophers, perhaps even in the Bible, is how we think determines how we act, right? So as a person, think and grow rich, I think, therefore I am. All these things that we've learned, our thinking drives the behavior, gives us a result in success we may or may not be enjoying in life right now. So if this is how I am right now, and this is how I've become who I am today, right? And of course, if the magic here is if you look at behave, it's just be and have together, right? So when you look at the two words. So this is how I become who I am and have the results that I have through these behaviors, which has been driven by this thinking. So now all of a sudden, from a coaching point of view, we've said, okay, hey, talk to us about what does success look like to you now? I'll go over here. And if we look at, what would you like success to be? Who do you think you need to become to have the results you'd like to have that you don't have right now? What behaviors would you need to be demonstrating that would drive those results to get you that success? And what's the thinking that you would need to have that would drive this new behavior? Okay, this is really important to understand here, because if we want to have something we've never had before, we'll probably need to become something we've never been before. In order to do that, we'll need to do stuff we've never done before. In order to do that, we're going to need to think differently. Because the definition of insanity, of course, is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a new result. So there's only two ways to get new results, and one is to work longer and harder than you ever have, or secondly, to shift the way you think about things to cause you to behave differently and drive new results to get you new success. So what's really important to understand when you're working with people from a coaching and not a boss perspective is, now that you know these things here, we know where you are, and we know where you'd like to be. Okay, so this is really cool. Now, when you sit there and you're working with somebody and you go, we've identified the new behaviors, you're going to do these things, and we know it's going to drive these results, for that person, and they're going to achieve all this wonderful success that they're looking for, which is great. And we know the thinking. So what we know is we've got this, we know the thinking, we know the behavior that will drive those results. Then that person goes along, and if they're not doing the right behavior or following the behavior that will drive the results, well, we know then that the thinking must be wrong. So we go, well, what behavior did they demonstrate? They did these things. So I know the behavior we want, I know the thinking that we're looking for, and I know the behavior that's been demonstrated. What I don't know is this: what was that person thinking? So this is where another great questions that Lisa asks people when she does her coaching in our organization is, tell me about you. Tell me about that. Because what she's trying to establish is basically what that person was thinking. And not in like, oh my God, what were you thinking point of way, but actually, hey, help me to understand the thinking that you have, because it drove a behavior that's not reflective of the behavior that's going to get the results. And we already know what thinking would drive those behaviors. So we want to know, tell me what you were thinking. Because what I want to do is I want to identify the gap between the thinking you have. Oops, horrid writing. We want to identify the gap between the thinking that you have and the thinking that you need to have, because then this way I can actually coach the gap. Pete's just put up here. Yeah, great topic and reminder of how to check our mindset. And I like the whiteboard. Nice work. Thanks, mate. Really appreciate you, Pete. But if you, by the way, if anyone aren't following Peter Clark on LinkedIn, please jump on. He's got an amazing radio show he does. Phenomenal guy. Please make sure you're following him. Yeah, so now what you do is you'll have this gap, right? And so with this cool gap that you have here, you can now coach the gap. And I'll leave you this one last little piece here. So this is the whole way you do it, right? So you got to identify what success would look like, what results you'd like to have, what behaviors would demonstrate that. And please remember to work out what's the thinking that you would need to have that would drive those behaviors. We already know this stuff, right? So when these things don't equal, then we need to go, what's this? Talk to me about that. Because then what I can do from here is I can actually take this and use the same process that created, and every single time with spaced repetition, this is why you have to coach on a regular basis to drive the new thinking, which will drive the new behaviors and results and success that you're looking for. And the last thing I'll leave you with is this here on this particular one, remembering our definition of leadership, that leadership's all about helping other people become the best version of themselves to do their life's best work while in your care and beyond. And this is where you play coach. Okay, this is the important part here. Okay, so this is how you help people. You become a coach, not a boss. This is how you help people shift their thinking to drive new behaviors, to get new results and the success that they're looking for. This is how you help them become the best version of themselves so they can do their life's best work while in your care and beyond. This is the critical part of this process, guys. Becoming a coach, not a boss, is one of the best things that you can do. For that reason of helping take your organization from good to great is help your people go from good to great, or from where they are to be the best version of themselves, and continue to do that as a process. Because evolution is a process. It's not a fixed state, right? And the last thing I want to leave you with as you think about this is that, remember, your team and your people will deliver exceptional value when they feel exceptionally valued. When you're directing and telling them, they may not feel that way. All right. So please be mindful of that. Let me just throw one more bonus in here. I was talking with a client last night about this. And by the way, when you're doing some coaching, what you might find is that people, and you're asking them, you talk to me about that, tell me about that. And they go, I don't know. And I don't accept, I don't know as an answer. However, I don't go like, that's not acceptable. I don't know. I don't accept, I don't know as an answer. And here's why I don't accept it as an answer. And I would ask them, well, tell me what you do know. So as a simple example, I'll leave you, this is what I call my Google Maps theory, okay? So if I go to Google Maps on my phone and I want to put in a destination where I want to get to, if I want to put that in, I can put in the destination that I want to get to. But what does Google Maps know before I even put in the destination? It knows my location. It knows where I am. How can it help me build a reverse engineer a map from where I want to be, or sort of where I want to get to, if it doesn't know where I am? Imagine if you're calling, for an emergency 911 or 000 here in Australia, and the operator doesn't know where you are, and you're like, I need help. And they go, well, where are you? And you go, I don't know. What they would do, well, give me some features. Tell me what's around you. Do you see any signs or any, identifiable buildings or features? Where's the last street that you crossed? What was it? They're trying to find out where you are as best as they can. So from a coach point of view, when I'm saying I don't accept, I don't know as an answer, it's because I'm trying to find out where you are. I can't help you get to where you want to be if I don't know where you are, because I don't know what the gap is. So I need to know sort of where you are. And this is why I don't accept, I don't know as an answer. It's not because it's, inadequate. It's just, I need to be able to help you. And in order for me to help you to be the best version, I need to understand sort of where you are. Okay. So Google Maps already knows where I am, and that's why it can help me get to where I need to go. So please understand, when you're working with people, they may tell you they don't know. Well, then work with them. Or the other option you can do, and I'll leave you this, is just say, hey, take a day, think about it, then come back to me and let's talk about where they are. They may not be ready to tell you yet, but you can't accept I don't know as an answer, because you can't help somebody if you don't know where they are. So become a coach, not a boss. Coach the gap, help people shift their thinking. It's the most powerful thing you can do. Help them become the best version of themselves to do their life's best work while in your care and beyond. Your role as a leader is to be a coach. Help your people do that. Once again, hashtag coach, not boss. If you want that template, please do that. Pete, Lisa, everybody else who tuned in for this, thank you so much for your participation and your attention. Really value it, and for your comments. Pete, one last comment. Great at Google Maps. You must start with where you are. I believe that it's hard for some folks because we hate to admit where we are. Absolutely, mate. And that's why I said, be gentle with people about it. Hey, talk to me. Give me some idea of, talk to me what's around you. Where are you at? Even if I can get a general location, I can at least start to help you. But if you're coming from a position of care and compassion because you truly care about helping that person become the best, it's not because they're not giving you the answer you want. It's, I can't help you if you can't help me find out where you're at. I need a general vicinity so I can, okay, at least I know you're around here and here's where you want to get to. Now I can start working with you. If you come from a position of care and compassion, I think you'll find that people will come around to at least giving you some indication of where they're at, which is why Lisa's always so great at tell me about you. And then before, instead of tell me about it and tell me what you're thinking, like, not oh my God, what were you thinking way, but tell me, I would go, hey, tell me what you're thinking, where she's really great at going, hey, tell me about you. And I want to know about you. And then eventually they can open up to that. Right. And then eventually they'll start to dialogue and just keep asking questions. And one other bonus thing I'll throw in while we're here, and since the conversation's still going, is be comfortable in the silence. When you ask a question of them and you sit, especially a question like that, just be quiet and be silent and let them have time to think about it, and they will give you an answer. At least it may not be the perfect answer, but it's a starting point. Once again, all we're looking for is somewhere to start. Okay, great. Now tell me about that. Tell me a little bit more about that. And why is that? And you can start asking more of those questions to bring out that person, because then you go, okay, now I can see you. I see you for where you are. Awesome. I see where you want to go, and I see for where you are. I can now coach that gap. It's the best thing you can do from a leadership point of view. It's the best thing you can do as a human being to help your people, to show them that you care about them. All right. So Coach Not a Boss, please jump into it. Hashtag Coach Not Boss if you'd like that template. Thank you guys so much for tuning in as always. Same time next Thursday in the Circle Leadership Headquarters Studios. We'll have another hot topic from leadership, culture, strategy, you name it. And look forward to seeing you guys next week.